Okay, guys, let's try to make this happen. In fact, let's make this happen. Topic of the day is gonna be best quads ever, top 10 best quads ever. And I suggest you please keep in mind through the whole video that this is a very subjective matter and that everything I'll be saying will be based upon my own opinion and the things that I like. If you have a different opinion, please feel free to share it with me down in the comments. I will be more than happy to read it. And before starting, I want to give you guys some honorable mentions here, starting with your former 7-time Mr. Olympia, Mr. Phil Heath, who had a very detailed and vascular quad development that I enjoyed very much. Second place on the honorable mentions is gonna go to Mr. Brent Warren, very well known for that granite look through his whole physique, including his quads. And the last honorable mention is gonna go to Mr. Mustafa Mohamed, who had that humongous quad tier. 10 spot goes to Mr. Kevin Levrone, who officially won 23 IFBB Pro shows, being the bodybuilder with most wins at the time. You can see that he's very different from other guys because he's able to have that amount of detail in the quads, even in the higher part. It even looks like his quads muscles are connecting with his midsection, and the fact that he's from an era where posing was basically an art is just another plus because he was able to display and show his physique, including his quad development, in a very efficient way, making it very eye-catching. So definitely deserving a a spot in the top. Okay, 9 players goes to Mr. Dennis Big Bad Wolf, who arguably has a lot of similarities with Kevin's Levrone physique in terms of the quad department specifically, which is what we are talking about in this video. But in my book, at least, Mr. Dennis has more details and deeper cuts, which puts him in the 9th place. If you can see the way that his quads flow with the whole physique, they look like they are connecting with his serratus muscle and his midsection, basically. Same story with Kevin Levrone, but here you can see it amped up a little bit. And if you ask me personally, for my favorite shape of Mr. Dennis, definitely would be 2009. In fact, you guys are looking at some 2009 footage from Dennis if you haven't seen him. So yes, definitely deserving a spot here on the list. Dennis Big Bad Wolf. Now let's move on to Mr. Dorian Yates, former 6-time Olympia champion in consecutive years. And this is only one of the many things that he's done. Another one is the fact that this guy changed the whole direction of the sport because he was the first, or one of the first, arguably, mass monsters to ever walk in this planet. And he was not only size but condition. You can see here in this clip I'm showing you guys the amount of detail that he had on the quads. They were looking basically like he erased his whole skin, and we were just looking at muscle fibers. And on the next video that I will put right now, you will be able to see it even better because there's some close-ups where you can appreciate the conditioning that this guy had. He definitely set the bar above everyone else who was before him. And 1994, in my opinion, being his best shape ever. Mr. Dorian Yates deserving a spot here for that granite look of his. In 7th place, we have Mr. Greene, aka Mr. Getting It Done, aka The Predator. And you guys can already see that here we are looking at some next level thing, next level quads. You can see all the feathers, the striations, all the details that he had on his quads were just next level. Also, I want to point out that this is a former 3-time runner-up for the Mr. Olympia title with a very successful career, even winning the Arnold Classic, arguably the second most important show that there is in bodybuilding, at least on the IFBB. And I want to point out the fact that Kai, being from the actual era, if you want to call it that way, is still able to pose and to display his physique in a proper and efficient way. Kai Greene. 6th place goes to Mr. Big Ron, Ronnie Coleman, one of the best to ever do it, former 8-time Mr. Olympia champion, one of the only 2 humans to ever win this amount of Olympia titles. And definitely, if you're talking about size, you have to at the very least, mention this guy, because he definitely knew a thing or two about how huge a human body can get. And he wasn't only huge, as I mentioned earlier with Dorian. You can see the conditioning that he used to have. Easy pick for this top, Mr. Big Ron. 5th place, Mr. Paul Demayo, aka or also known as Quadzilla. And if your nickname is Quadzilla, that must be for a reason. And in fact, Mr. Paul had 2 strong reasons to back it up, meaning 2 very beautiful quads. Just look at the quad development that this guy had, the conditioning, the vascularity, the striations that he had on his quads. Not as successful in terms of titles as other guys mentioned earlier in this list, since his only Mr. Olympia appearance was in 1995, placing out of the top 10, but keep in mind that if he was a competition of quads, he would have definitely been a threat for the title. Mr. Quadzilla, another easy pick for this list. Just look at how he trained. Beautiful quad development, Paul Demayo. Now we're getting closer to the top 3 with one of the most amazing quads I've ever seen. We're talking about Mr. Jay Cutley, and just look at the quad stomp. This guy owns and is pretty much one of the most iconic quad picture that you can think of. In fact, he has one of the most iconic pictures ever taken on a bodybuilding stage. Which picture is it? Well, have a look and appreciate all the details, feathers, and everything that is going on his quad. Jay Cutler, 4th place. Now please, in 3rd spot, Mr. Milos Sarcev, coming straight out of Serbia, the former IFBB legend. Appreciate at how a body should look like. Impressive. Former 2-time Mr. Yugoslavia, and in 1989, if I'm not mistaken, former Mr. Universe champions. No question asked why. Just look at the whole physique, look at the overall look, the way that his quads were able to make him stand out for pretty much everybody on stage. Remember the era that he's from, and just look at the package that he was bringing. Look at the way that he looked. Beautiful. Milos Sarcev, 3rd spot. 2nd spot goes to Mr. Conditioning, Andreas Münzer, one of the most conditioned guys to ever share air with us in this planet. And I'm sorry if I got too close to the microphone, but I had to make it clear that if the 1st spot didn't exist, the package that this guy had on his quads were just unbeatable. No one could come even close to the amount of detail that he had if we're talking exclusively about his quads. Just look at the vascularity, the cuts, the details, everything. He doesn't seem real. He doesn't even seem real. Just look at it. And this picture here portrays the beauty of the muscle that he had. Quality. And the 1st place, oh surprise, Mr. Tom Platz. If you talk about legs in general, not only quads, legs in general, you definitely have to talk about him. Look at him at the age 53 looking better than you. Facts, my friend. And in the next picture, we'll have this guy admiring at Mr. Platz. asking himself, what am I doing here? I'm getting destroyed in every way, and no questions will be asked, my friend. Just look, he was muscle upon muscle upon muscle, and I recommend all of you guys to pause the video and have a detailed look at everything that was going on his legs. Definitely the best quads and legs in general to ever walk in this earth. This has been it for the video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I will be more than happy if you do that. Have a nice one, and see you in the next bit. Peace.